Hello YouTube, it's Supernova, and today we're looking at approach charts and ILS in the Airfoillabs Cessna 172 in X-Plane 11. This is the ILS or localizer approach for runway 04 left. Communications are shown left to right in the order of normal use. Localizer is the navigation type, and November India is the identifier. The final approach course is 043 degrees. This section defines the approach band. In this instance, the approach band is at the NC-NDB 5.1 miles DME at 1,660 feet baro or 1,650 feet AGL. If reported visibility or runway visual range is below the approach minimums, it is prohibited to continue beyond the point specified. This indicates the lowest decision altitude, height, for the ILS approach. In this case, we are referred to minimums. Airport elevation is 12 feet, and the touchdown zone or threshold elevation is 10 feet. The missed approach procedure is explained in text. In this case, the unit used for altimeter setting is hectopascal. It can also be specified in inches of mercury. Runway elevation is also defined using hectopascal. 1 HPA is equal to 27 feet. Transition altitude is 5,000 feet. Above this altitude, the aircraft altimeter is set to the standard pressure setting, 1013 millibars or 29.92 inches of mercury. Transition level is set by ATC. At this altitude, the altimeter is set to local QNH when descending. Normal minimum safe altitude coverage is 25 nautical miles radius from the facility, fix, or airport reference point, or ARP. In this case, that is the NC-NDB. Bearings always point to the navigation aid, fix, or ARP. Below is the plan view of the approach. The approach plane includes information on obstacles, minimum safe altitude, holding position, navigation aids, and routing. The initial fix is Lampu. An IF is an approach leg, while an initial approach fix is a waypoint or navigation aid. ILS DME frequency and localizer course is indicated. Distance to the localizer is indicated at several points on the approach. Navigation aids and their associated frequencies are indicated. The missed approach is illustrated. The non-precision recommended altitude descent table follows. If the glide slope is not available, this table indicates correct altitudes at specified distances relative to the localizer. The glide slope is approached at 4,000 feet. This point is the final approach point. Descent starts 0.3 nautical miles before the FAP. The localizer course is 043 degrees. Heights at specified localizer distances are indicated on the glide slope. For example, height at the NC-NDB 5.1 miles from the localizer is 1,660 feet. The smaller numbers indicate distance between the reference points. Minimum descent altitude is the lowest altitude in feet above mean sea level to which descent is authorised when glide slope is not available, without the required visual reference. In other words, if the runway or runway lights are not in sight when at the decision altitude. The missed approach point is 1 mile from the localizer. This is the point at which the missed approach procedure is executed if the runway is not in sight. Runway threshold crossing height associated with the glide slope is 54 feet. Vertical speeds required for specified ground speeds are listed here. For example, a ground speed of 70 knots requires a descent rate of 372 feet per minute. The ILS has a 3-degree glide slope. MAP is at distance 1.0 from the localizer. PAPI and runway end identifier lights are available. Standard indicates that the published minimums are compliant with European operations. Compliance with US operations is indicated with TERPs. The minimums listed are for straight-in landing runway 04 left. The aircraft approach categories are A, B, C, and D. Category A aircraft have a speed at the threshold below 91 knots. Category B 91 to 120 knots. Category C 121 to 140 knots. And Category D 141 to 165 knots. RVR is the minimum required runway visual range for different aircraft. Enter the ILS frequency in nav1. Set the course on the nav1 indicator. Engage the autopilot and select approach mode. The autopilot should not be engaged below 200 feet AGL. Feel free to like, comment and subscribe